The workshop smelled of solder and recycled air. Marcus Chen hunched over his workbench, adjusting the neural interface on a modified visor that had consumed his last 72 hours. The device wasn't elegant, jury-rigged from salvaged proximity sensors, a translation matrix, and code he'd written in a caffeine-fueled haze. But it worked. 3 days ago, he'd encountered Lyria in the market district of Station Kepler 9. The young Valorian had been navigating the crowded corridors with clicking mandibles, using echolocation like her species had for millennia. But the station's metal walls created dead zones, and Marcus had watched her collide with a support beam, her crystalline carapace cracking audibly. "You okay?" he'd asked, helping her up. She'd tilted her head, her vestigial eye ridges moving in what he'd learned was embarrassment. "The sounds here, they lie." Marcus knew that feeling. He'd been the weird kid who built things, who saw solutions where others saw junk. What if I could help? Now holding the completed visor, he messaged the address she'd given him. 20 minutes later, Lyria arrived at his workshop with her guardian, a stern Valorian whose name translated roughly to Stone Who Judges. "A human offers gifts," Stone Who Judges rumbled, skepticism dripping from every syllable. "What is the price?" "No price," Marcus said, extending the visor toward Lyria. "Just try it." The device wrapped around her triangular head, neural pads making contact with her sensory nodes. Marcus activated the system and Lyria gasped, a sound that transcended species. The visor translated spatial data directly into her brain, painting the world in dimensions she'd never experienced. "I can see." Her voice trembled. "The colors, the light, the distance." She turned in a slow circle and Marcus saw bioluminescent tears streak down her carapace. Stone Who Judges stood frozen, his usual severity cracking. "This is impossible," the Guardian whispered. "Valorian medical science has tried for generations." Marcus shrugged. "Different perspective, I guess. Sometimes you need an outsider to see the solution." They left with gratitude that needed no translation. Marcus returned to his regular work, repairing aging station systems for a pittance, and thought little more of it. 4 days later, his door chimed at 0300 hours. 4 Valorian warriors stood in the corridor, their ceremonial armor gleaming with rank insignias Marcus didn't recognize. Each carried weapons that hummed with barely contained energy. The leader, a scarred veteran whose carapace bore the marks of 100 battles, stepped forward. "Marcus Chen, you will come with us." Marcus's heart hammered. Had he violated some law? Broken a taboo? The visor had been built from legal components, but maybe... Am I under arrest? The warrior's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "No, human. You are summoned." They escorted him through the station's elite levels, past checkpoints he'd never known existed, to a docking bay where a ship waited, sleek, powerful, and distinctly military. During the 3-hour journey, the warriors said nothing, though Marcus caught them exchanging glances he couldn't interpret. The ship docked at a station that made Kepler 9 look like a storage closet. Valorian architecture soared in impossible angles, bioluminescent gardens suspended in zero-gravity spheres. They led him to a chamber where dozens of Valorians waited, their carapaces marked with symbols of authority. At the center sat Lyria, but not just Lyria. Beside her stood individuals whose bearing radiated power, and a resemblance he now recognized in the curve of her mandibles, the pattern of her carapace. "Marcus Chen," the eldest spoke, her voice carrying the weight of centuries. "I am Matriarch Ziraeth. Lyria is my granddaughter. The visor you created has done what our greatest scientists said was impossible." She gestured and a hologram appeared, schematics of the visor, rotating in 3 dimensions. "We have analyzed your device. It is crude, yes, inefficient, but the underlying principle..." Ziraeth's eyes gleamed. "It solves a problem that has plagued Valorian medicine for 6,000 years. Blindness runs in the royal bloodline. We have lost heirs, leaders, minds of brilliance, all because they could not see in a galaxy that demands vision." The warriors who had brought him stepped forward, and Marcus tensed. But instead of weapons, they carried a case. Inside lay a crystalline tablet, glowing with encoded data. "This contains our offer," Ziraeth continued. "Citizenship in the Valorian hegemony, resources beyond measure, a laboratory staffed with our finest engineers, full access to technologies your species has not yet imagined." She paused. "And one request, Help us perfect what you have begun. Help us give sight to all who have been denied it. Marcus looked at Lyria, who watched him with eyes that could finally see. He thought of every time someone had called his tinkering useless, every rejection from prestigious institutions, every dismissal of his unorthodox methods. I have a counteroffer, he said quietly. The chamber fell silent. I'll help you, but not just Valorians. The principles in that visor can be adapted for dozens of species. I've already thought of modifications for xenthi-thermal blindness, for Kresh radiation damage, for... He stopped, seeing their expressions. I want to help everyone. Ziraeth studied him for a long moment. Then her mandibles spread, and what Marcus had learned was a Valorian smile. This is why the galaxy needs humans, she said. We asked for a weaponsmith and received a healer. We sought a mechanic and found a dreamer. She extended a crystalline hand. Your counteroffer is accepted, Marcus Chen. Welcome to a larger world. As Marcus shook her hand, Lyria approached, the visor still perched on her head. Thank you, she said simply, for seeing me when I could not see myself. Marcus grinned. That's what humans do best. We're really good at finding solutions everyone else missed. Sometimes being the weird outsider is exactly what the galaxy needs. The warriors who had terrified him hours ago now nodded with respect. One even clicked his mandibles in what Marcus suspected was laughter. In a workshop built from garbage, a human had changed the future, and the galaxy would never be quite the same.